Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make this plants tracking app. The idea is taken from Dribbble and I instantly like the idea where you can track your plants activity. In this video I am going to show you how to create a custom splash screen, a custom image slider and functionality with which you can pop to root view. Now before we continue, as you can see it's a long video and it takes me more than just an hour to make a single video. So do me a favor and like my video and support me by subscribing to my channel. This is the best possible way to support me. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so I have my project already set up with my hello world and let's go ahead and create a state variable called isActive. I will show you why we need it later on in the video. Let's get rid of our hello world and type navigation view, zsec, and alignment dot bottom leading. Now I have all the assets that I need already set up and you can get all of them from my GitHub repo. But anyways, let's get back to our code and let's add color to our Z stack. Then we are going to make this Z stack full screen, so we are going to do edges ignore safe area and say all. Then we are going to do image and background image, and then let's do resizable, then give it an opacity of 0.3 and then offset, and X is going to be 0 and we are going to make Y 100, and then aspect ratio is going to be fit, and inside our frame we are going to give it a height of 400. Now let's run the app and we have our leaf image to the bottom left. Now I need another image to the right, so let's copy and paste our code, and inside our offset let's push X to the end of the screen. So we are going to change the value of X in our offset and we are going to do minus UI screen dot main dot bounds dot width plus 150. Now let's run the app. It's outside the screen, so let's push it in, and also let's make it a bit smaller. So we are going to change the height of our frame. We are going to make it 200, and let's add another property called rotation 3D effect, and we are going to do dot degrees. We are going to do 180. And for the axis we are just going to leave it as it is. And now let's run the app, and awesome. Now let's add our logo. So for that let's do vstack, and inside our vstack we are going to add an image called logo and then some text. We're just gonna call it plant activity tracker, and we are going to give it a foreground color of white, and for font we are going to say title, and for font weight we are going to say semi-bold. And now let's run the app. Okay, so due to Z stack the logo is at the bottom left, so let's fix that by adding a frame property to our vstack, and we are going to make it full screen. So we are just going to say UI screen dot main dot bounds width, and the same for the height. And for our Z stack, let's give it a navigation bar title, and we are going to leave it empty because we don't want to show any title. and then we are going to say dot navigation bar hidden, and we are going to say false. And let's run our app. Great, so our splash screen is complete, but now we need to dismiss it after some time. For that, we are going to use onAppare, and inside it we are going to use dispatch queue. In deadline, we are going to say from now onwards delay till 2 seconds, and once it's done, we are going to animate to our destination view. So we are going to make is active true. Now we just need a condition that if is active is true, then show the destination view. Awesome, so our splash screen is working now. Now let's work on our plants list. Our list is also going to be searchable, so we are going to create a search text state variable. And another state variable with any name you guys want. I forgot that I had already said is active in the previous view, but it doesn't matter. So now let's add a VStack, and then we are going to add a list, and we are going to say plants in, and for now let's leave it right there, and let's create our model. We are going to say struct and plants, and it's gonna confirm to identifiable, and we are going to say var id equals uuid, and var title string, var image string, and let's create a variable called var plants, and it is going to be an array of our model. So we're going to say plants, and inside title we are going to say Easter lily, and image is going to be 1, then again plants, and so on. Okay, now in our list we are going to add our variable plants, and we are going to say inside our list we are going to do navigation link, and for destination we're just going to leave it as it is right now, and inside our label we are going to say hashtag image plants.image, and we are going to make it resizable, and then frame width 60, height 60, and then corner radius 15. And we are going to add another property called isActive, and we are going to say self.isActive. Now we are going to say text and plants dot title dot capitalize, and now let's run the app, and let's see where we at. And there you go, we have our list. And I think I've learned somewhere that you do not need S tag when you're working with list. So let's remove our S tag and let's run the app again, and let's see if it changes anything or not. And there we go. Okay, yeah, nothing has changed, so everything is working fine. Okay, and for our VStack, let's add a navigation title called My Plants, and let's run our app again. And after 2 seconds, we have our list with a navigation title. Awesome. Now, I have shown you multiple times in my previous video how to create a search bar, and I have done nothing new to it except for changing the name of the text field, changing the color, and there's nothing new in it. So I just copy and pasted the same code, and you can find it in my previous video. I will link it in the description or in the card somewhere. So let's go back to our My Plants view, and inside our VStack above the list we are going to say search bar and text, and then we are going to pass in our search tag state variable. And now it's time for the filter, so we're going to say plants.filter, and then inverted commas, and then we are going to say $0. This means the first element, and we are going to say dot contains search text dot lowercase or search text dot is empty. And now let's run the app. By the way, I have also explained what this condition do, so you guys can check it out in my previous video. I will link that video as well. And we have an error. I think I have typed it wrong. Contains, and okay, yeah, okay, that is working now. Okay, let's run the app, and now if I search anything, if I type elephant ears, it will give me elephant ears. If I say elm, it is giving me elm. Okay, and everything is working just fine. Now let's go ahead and create a new file called detailed view. And inside our plants view, let's remove our dummy text, and we are going to say detailed view. And then let's add a VStack. We are going to say alignment. It is going to be leading. And then we are going to add a scroll view, and it is going to be a vertical scroll view. Also, we do not want any indicator, so we're going to say shows indicators false. And then let's create another file called image slider view. And then let's do geometry reader, and inside we're going to say G in hashtag spacing. You know what, let's not give spacing right now. Let's do rectangle, and then dot frame width, G dot size width, overlay image 1, resizable. Now I need 3 rectangles, so I'm going to just copy and paste all of this. And you can make this dynamic, but for the sake of tutorial I'm just going to copy and paste this rectangle. And then for our edge tag we are going to say offset x, and we are going to create a state variable called background offset. And in our x we are going to say in our brackets, and let's put a minus sign, and then let's do self.background offset multiply by g.size.width and .animation.default. Now let's give it a height. So we're going to say UI screen dot main dot bounds dot height, and let's do divided by 2, so that is half the screen size. And then let's do gesture, drag gesture, and dot on ended. And then value in if value dot translation dot width is greater than 10. This means that if the user drags their finger 10 pixels to the right, then it's going to run this if block. Now let's just copy and paste the if condition, and then let's say else if, and let's make it less than 10. This is when the user will swipe left 10 pixels. Now let's run it. Now I'm using geometry reader because I need to get the size of the parent view. So whatever the size of the parent view is, the geometry size will adjust the image slider accordingly. Oh, and also I forgot to add our image slider. So let's inside our VStack we are going to say image slider view, and now let's run the app. And as you can see, we have our image slider. But now there is one problem with this, so let's fix that. Okay, now all we need is the page control. So let's go back to our image slider view, and let's say edge stack, rounded rectangle, corner radius 40, and then we are going to say dot fill, color black, opacity. Now we are going to say if self.background offset is equals to 0, then make the opacity 0.7, otherwise it will be 0.2. And now we are going to do the same for the frame width. We are going to say self.background offset is equals to 0. If so, then make it 30, otherwise make it 10. And for the height we are going to say 10, and keep the alignment center, it doesn't matter. Copy and paste this 2 times, and we are going to do 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2. And now let's run the app. And as you can see, whichever image we are on, the page control is going to be shaped as a pill, and the other ones are going to be a circle. And now let's go ahead and bring it in center also. Let's animate this. So for that we are going to do frame width UI screen dot main dot bounds width, and let's get rid of all of this. and let's do .animate.default, and now let's run the app. And there we go, our page controls are in center and it is animating pretty good. But we have one problem, that as you can see there is a gap between each image. So to fix that, let's go up to our edge stack and let's add spacing, and we are going to say 0. This will remove the spacing between each image. And now if we run the app, as you can see, it is working just fine. Now let's go back to our detail view and let's continue to creating the rest of the view. So let's go ahead and create a struct, and let's do custom shape. Now I have already shown you guys how to create this how to create custom shapes, so I'm going to link that video as well if you guys want to check it out. Okay, and now let's go to our image slider view, and we are going to say clip shape, custom shape. It is not coming up. Let me save this file and then let's copy and paste this, and now it's coming up. Okay, so in our left corner we are going to say bottom left, and then in the right corner we are going to say bottom right. For radii we are going to say 40, and now let's run the app. And it is not showing the corners. You know what, never mind, let's continue on and we'll fix this later on. Don't worry, we'll fix this later on. So inside our scroll view, let's add a v-stack and let's do alignment leading. And now let's do text Swiss cheese plant, and let's do font dot title, and then dot font weight, we're going to say semi bold, and then dot padding dot top 30. And now let's copy this and paste, and let's change the text to Monstra delicious. And then for font we are going to say body, and then let's make the font weight bold, and then padding top 10, and then let's add a foreground color dot gray. Let's copy it again and let's paste it, and instead of this text I am going to paste it from my notes. And let's get rid of this, and let's remove the padding as well. Now let's run it, and there we go, we have our Swiss cheese plant and all the description over there. Now let's copy this text again, and let's say care guide, and let's do font title 3, and let's make it semi bold, and then let's get rid of this, and for padding we are going to say 30. Now we are going to create a lazy edge grid, and for our rows in our grid item we are going to make it adaptive. And let's add the minimum property, and for our minimum property let's do 80, and let's get rid of alignment, and then for spacing we are going to say 16. Let's get rid of all of this. Let's get rid of the placeholder, and let's do a rounded rectangle and corner radius 20, and then fill, color, care guide. This is the color in our asset called care guide. And then let's do frame. Width is going to be 80, height is going to be 140, and then alignment center. And for overlay we are going to say v-stack, and then text and say water. Font weight is going to be bold, then font, system, and then let's add our image. It is going to be a system image, so let's open up our SF Pro symbols and copy and paste it over here. Now let's run the app, and let's see if I scroll down. There we go, we have our first rounded rectangle. Now let's add another text, and let's say every. And then copy and paste this text again, and let's say 7 days. And now let's run the app, and also while it's building let's do foreground color dot white. And now let's just copy the entire rounded rectangle and paste it 3 times because we want 4 sections. And let's change all of the text inside of it. And now let's run the app. And there you go, you can see 4 sections right here. Let's do navigation link and destination. Let's leave it as it is. Let's leave the label. Inside our label, let's add text. Let's name it show my progress. And now let's run the app to see if everything is all good. And if you guys want, you can put the navigation link outside the scroll view, but I think it would look better if we just cut this and put it inside our scroll view. So now let's run the app again. And now it's coming inside the scroll view. I think it looks good, but if you want, you can do whatever you guys like. And now let's add padding dot horizontal, and let's give it a 20 to align everything up. Let's run the app. And there we go, everything is looking good. And now let's do edges ignore safe area all, and let's add a navigation bar back button hidden. Let's make it true because we don't want the default one. We are going to add our own. So let's do navigation bar item leading, and let's add a button action. And let's leave it as it is for now. Let's do image. Inside our label, we are going to say image is going to be a system image. So let's open up our SF Pro symbol and let's search for our arrow. This one, and let's paste it in. And then let's do font.title to.bold, then foreground color .white, and now let's run the app and let's minimize this. And when we click on any one of these, as you can see, we have our custom back button, but it is not going back. Also, let's change the color to green, to our secondary color, that is the care guide. So let's just copy and paste. And let's see how it looks. It is looking good. Now at the top of our body, let's add an environment variable called presentation mode. This is for dismissing the view. And inside our button we are going to say self dot presentation mode dot wrappable value dot dismiss. And now let's run the app. And everything is good. Now we can, when we press on the back button, we can pop our view. And let's go ahead and let's fix the image slider issue. Okay, I figured it out. Let's get rid of this clip shape from here. And it was my mistake, I had to put it over here. Okay, and now let's run the app. And now, as you can see, we have our bottom corners. Great. And everything is working just fine. Okay, now it is time to add a destination, and let's create a new file. It is going to be a Swiftui file, and we are going to call it tracking view. And then in our detailed view, let's add tracking view. And now let's run the app to see everything is working fine. Now let's go to our tracking view and let's get rid of our text. And inside our body, let's add a V-stack. And inside our V-stack, we are going to add a spacing of 20. And then let's add lazy V-grid. And then in our grid item, we are going to say adaptive. Let's add our minimum property, and then let's do 150. also get rid of our alignment. Let's add a spacing of 35. Let's get rid of everything. And we are having some problems. Let me fix that. Okay, and let's also add another spacing of 35. Okay, so the spacing that is inside the grid item, it is between two items, and the spacing that is outside of the grid item, it is the spacing between each column. So the spacing inside the grid item is the spacing between each item, and the spacing outside the grid item is the spacing between each column. Hope that makes sense. Let's run the app and let's see if it is working okay. And while the app is running, let's add our Z stack. And there you go. As you can see, the spacing between each placeholder is 35. And now in our Z stack, let's add alignment dot bottom. Then let's do a rectangle, and then let's give it a fill. Then frame, and let's give it a max width of infinity to make it full width, and then for the max height we are going to say 40. And then let's add a V stack. Let's do text. Water. And then let's add font. Let's make it subheadline. Let's add font weight. Let's make it bold. And then let's add a spacer. Now let's do hashtag spacing 10. And then let's add a spacer. Now let's do text. We are going to say 2. And then let's add a VStack, and we are going to say alignment.leading, and then let's add another text inside it called days. Then another text called left. And then let's add a foreground color. Let's do color.white.opacity 0.5. Then let's add a spacer. And now let's add vertical padding of 20. And now let's go ahead and give it a frame height of 200. And then background color dot blue dot opacity 0.3. And then clip shape rectangle corner radius 20. Now let's run the app. Now let's go ahead and copy this Z stack and paste it 3 times because we need 4 sections, and let's change their text and color. Okay, now that this is done, let's add a text, and let me just copy and paste the text from my notes. And then let's do foreground color dot gray, and after that let's add a edge stack, and inside that we are going to add a text called other plants in the house. And then let's give it a font of title 3. We are going to say font weight dot bold, and then let's add a spacer. Let's add a button with an action. Let's leave the action empty, and inside our label we are going to say text view all dot font weight dot bold, and then foreground color we are going to say color dot gray dot opacity 0.7, and dot button style, it is going to be plain button style. And let's give it a padding of top. I get 20. Now let's run the app. Okay, now the last thing that we need to do is take care of the navigation. We also need to add a horizontal grid. So for that, let's do scroll view. We are going to make it horizontal, and we do not need any indicators. Let's do lazy edge grid. And for our rows, this is another way of creating a grid item. So we are going to say array. Inside our repeating, we are going to add a grid item, and this time let's do flexible, and count is going to be 1, which means only one row. And then spacing between them is going to be 20. And then let's add a button, and let's leave the action empty. And now we need to create an environment variable. So we'll do environment, and this is going to be our presentation mode environment variable for dismissing back to our detail view. And inside our label of the button, we are going to add an image. And then we are going to do button style, plain button style. And now let's copy and paste this, and let's run the app. And there you go, other plants in the house. We have 2 plants. Let's fold our V-stack, and let's give it a padding of horizontal of 20. Also, let's add a navigation title. Let's name it tracking detail. And now let's run the app. And if I go to show my progress, it is looking good. Okay, now it's time then that when we click on our view all button, it should pop it back to the list, which is our root view. So for that, we are going to create a binding variable called should pop to root. And let's go down to our button. Also, let's get rid of this, we don't need that. And let's go to our button. Right here, and let's do self dot should pop to root, and we are going to make it false. And now it's going to give me an error because we have created a binding variable in our tracking view. So now we have to add the arguments for it. And so in our tracking view, let's say should pop to root, and let's do self dot okay, we haven't created a binding variable, so let's go to the top and let's do add binding var root is active, and let's make it bool. And over here now we can say self dot root is active. Now when we will run the app, it should give me another error. And also let's get rid of this, and now let's run the app. It should give me another error. There we go. And right here we are going to say root is active. We are going to say self dot is active, and let's get rid of this. And now let's run the app, and everything should work just fine now. So we can push over here, we can push to this view. Now when we click on view all, it will bring me back to the list, and everything else is working perfectly. So I hope you guys have learned something valuable from this video. This is a long video, and like I said, it took me a lot of time to make this video. So all I want from you guys is to like the video and support me. Please support me by subscribing to my channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.